Hi, Kim Rainer here from All About Spirits Life After Cancer, and I want to welcome you to episode 52 of Life After Cancer. And you get to take a quick look around and see the beauty of where I am again in Wisconsin in this great and amazing weather and colors that we get every year. So I just want to show you real quick what I get to see. So today's episode, when we get diagnosed with cancer, and I've said this, this is the 52nd time, I've said that, it impacts every aspect of our lives, our social life, our spiritual life, our physical life. It impacts our relationships with family, with friends. It really impacts everything. And I created this show because when I was going through my treatment and after I was finished with my treatment, I really struggled with finding the kind of support that I was looking for. So I created All About Spirit Life After Cancer to help people transition in ways that I couldn't find the help. So today's episode is number 52, which means that I've been doing this for one full year. And that's a big deal for me. So the topic for today's episode is 7 things that I wish they'd have told me about anniversaries. And the reason that I chose this topic is multifaceted. First of all, because this is my 52nd episode, and this is the marking of a year for me. This is an anniversary that I've been doing this every week, mostly, for a year. And when I started doing this show, shortly after I started, I was doing chemo for my face, and I had rashes on my face and I had sores on my face, and it was painful. And when I hit anniversaries, it can be kind of woogie for me. And then I also celebrated my birthday this weekend, and that's an anniversary too. So I turned 60, and that was a big deal because they told me to get my affairs in order, and I wasn't sure I was going to make it to 60. So that was a big deal. And so I think one of the things that I think about in the context of anniversaries is if I'd have known the way that they were going to impact me, if somebody would have said, you might get kind of weird around your anniversaries, I would have been more prepared for that. So the 7 things that I wish they'd have told me is that the way I'm going to feel about my anniversaries can be kind of hard to explain. And what I mean by that is, I don't necessarily understand why this happens, but I get kind of weird around it. I start analyzing things. I start trying to figure things out. It sort of comes out of nowhere that I start looking at the circumstances and start wondering, well, geez, what if I would have done this, or what if I would have done that? Would that have been different for me? So that's one of the things I start analyzing, and that's not terribly helpful. And it really does seem, sorry for all the wiggling, it's really cold out here. No mosquitoes today, it's cold. So it sort of grows out of nowhere, and I was surprised by that. I didn't expect that was going to happen for me. The second thing that I noticed is that, this isn't just in my head. Even though my head likes to tell me that it's just in my head, it really isn't just going on inside my mind. There literally is stuff happening for me physiologically that is impactful in this process. And if I'd have known that, that would have been helpful for me to have an idea, to have an understanding. And, when I talk about it not just being in my head, my tendency is to say, oh, I'm just making mountains out of molehills. I'm just making a big deal out of this. Or, another thing that happens is once the idea kind of starts, it sort of takes on a life of its own. And I don't necessarily know what to do with that. I don't know how to shut it down. And that can be really challenging for me. Hey, Karen, thanks for joining this morning. The way it impacts me physically is I get kind of this racing, shaky kind of feeling, and I get almost like a panic attack about this. And, I find myself dropping things, not able to hold on to things. Karen, hi. Yeah, I can't find the right words when I'm trying to have a conversation with somebody. Sometimes I feel my chest start to tighten and I feel like I can't breathe. And that's not going on in my head. And my head will tell me, "Oh, you need to stop doing this. You need to stop worrying about that." And that's not terribly helpful for me. So, another thing that I wish they'd have told me is that these anniversaries can be really, really stressful, and that they can impact every aspect of my life. It might make it that I'm not able to focus on what it is that I'm supposed to be doing. When when I have tasks that I'm supposed to be taking care of, I might be having a hard time following through on them. I can't pay attention to what I'm doing. Sometimes I find myself, wanting to relieve the stress by binge eating, or sometimes I do it by not eating. And sometimes I look for things to distract me. I may sit and watch, a ton of episodes of, I don't know, Downton Abbey or whatever it is that the show that I'm binge watching this month happens to be. So it impacts every aspect of my body and of my life, right? And when that stuff is going on for me, the fourth thing is that I can really become hostage to those thoughts and ideas. One thought starts to lead to another thought, and it's, I'm preparing for the anniversary. Let's say I'm getting ready to go to my annual doctor's visit, and I start thinking, oh, I've had funny lesions on my skin again, and it's time that she's going to want to take a look at that, and oh, if that comes back. And, I start traveling down this crazy pathway of thoughts, and then all of a sudden, I'm thinking I should be planning my funeral. And, that's not terribly helpful. It's not real. It's not accurate. It's not what's really happening, but it does seem to be what goes on inside my mind. And, that's not helpful to me. Another thing that I notice about my anniversaries is the way that they impact me. It doesn't happen the same way every time. Sometimes I'm really good with it, and I think, wow, I have made it 11 years without having cancer again. I have not had a recurrence of ovarian cancer, and that's amazing. And sometimes it's like, oh my gosh, I'm going to go and they're going to do the next CAT scan, and I'm terrified and I don't want to do this. Or I'm going to go see my dermatologist and she's going to start poking around and she's going to start wanting to do things, right? So it looks different. It's not the same every time. Sometimes I'm really good with it and excited about it. Sometimes I feel really crummy about it and I'm terrified. And sometimes it's just someplace in the middle. So, the sixth thing is that, I'm not being a baby when this stuff is impactful to me. There is documented information that talks about post-cancer trauma. It talks about post-cancer depression. There's scholarly articles that talk about that we have PTSD after we've gone through our cancer treatment. And that's not going on in my head. I'm not making that up. That's not fake. That's real. So, and the last thing of the 7 things that I wish they would tell me is it's not helpful for me to tell myself to chill out, and it's not helpful for you to tell me to chill out either. When I'm in the midst of this stuff, it's really hard and it's challenging, and I'm looking for a different kind of support than, oh, chill out, don't worry about it, you're so strong, you're going to be okay, blah, blah, blah. That's not helpful. So, what do I do with all of that stuff? What do I do with these 7 things that I wish they'd have told me? And I have some experience with that. One of the things when it comes to the first one, which was, this is hard to explain. The first thing that I would recommend is stop trying to explain it to people who don't understand. There are people that can't get it because they haven't had the shared experience. So find people in your life who have had the shared experience. Share the information with me. Join a Facebook group. Share the information with other cancer survivors. Go to a cancer survivor support group and share that information there. When it comes to the not in my head and the stress, which is items number 2 and 3, finding a way to manage the stress is a huge component of so much of the work that I do in All About Spirit. And it's so much of the work that I had to do personally as I was growing and walking through this process. So some of the things that I've found that help me manage the stress is, journaling, going for walks outside. I spend a lot of time outside. Dancing is something that helps. I'll turn on music and dance around my house. Just finding things to do that can help me discharge the energy that's built up is really powerful. When it comes to the racing thoughts that I get, I have an exercise that's one of my favorites to do for that. And it works not only with racing thoughts around cancer and anniversaries, it really works with racing thoughts about anything. And it's a 5 senses exercise where I'll get into my surroundings and I'll try to get really fully present in my body and really pay attention to where I am. And then I will find 4 things in each of the 5 senses that I can recognize. I will look at, I'll look at what I can feel. Like I can feel my clothes touching my skin. I can feel my shoes on my feet. I can feel the cold air on my skin. I can feel the wind blowing in my hair, right? So I'll identify 5 things from that. And then I'll look at 5 things that I can see. So I'll look around my environment and I'll say, oh, I can see the beautiful colors in the trees behind me. I can see a building in front of me. I can see picnic tables in the park that I'm in. I can see leaves falling from the tree. So I identify 5 things from there. And then I identify things that I can hear, like I can hear the leaves blowing around. I can hear the wind in the trees. And I identify what I can smell and what I can see. So the 5 senses, right? Seeing, and what I can taste, right? So I can taste the residual of the coffee that I drank this morning if I'm a coffee drinker, right? So there's things that I can do, and it's just to help me bring myself back into the present time. And that's really a powerful way to stop the thoughts from racing. Item number 5, which is that it's not the same each time, is to really say, whatever it is, however I'm experiencing my anniversary this time, it's how I'm experiencing it, and it's okay. I don't have to try and manage it. I don't have to try and change it. I don't have to try and figure it out. I can just say, okay, this is how I'm experiencing it right now. And I can set an intention for wanting to be fully present in it and wanting to learn what I'm supposed to learn from the process of it. So that is number 5. Number 6 is about not being a baby anymore, right? Because I get this way that it's like, I should be handling this differently than I am. I should be acting more like a grown-up. I should be being different. And what I say about that is, how would I treat my best friend if they were sitting in this process with me? Would I be telling them to not be such a baby? Would I be telling them to suck it up? Would I be telling them to grow up? Of course I wouldn't do that. So finding ways to say, how would I treat my best friend? And really give myself permission to become my own best friend in this process, to really give myself permission to treat myself with kindness and compassion in this process. And then the last thing is that it doesn't help for me to tell me to chill out, and it doesn't help for you to tell me to chill out either. One thing that is really helpful in that context is when I can get to the space where I literally say, the truth is I have lived through the worst of this. I have already lived through the cancer. I've lived through the worst of this. I'm living through the anniversary today, and I am walking through the residual of this process. I'm walking through the fallout of it. And it is the anniversary, and there are emotions, and I need to process the emotions. I need to feel them. I need to give myself permission to experience them, and I don't have to continually relive the experience in that process. So those are things that were really helpful for me. The 7 things, again, is that it's hard to explain, that it isn't just going on in my head, even though my head tells me that it's just going on in my head. That this is stressful and it impacts every aspect of my life, that I don't need to become a hostage to my thoughts, that it doesn't look the same for me every time, and it doesn't look the same for every person, and that I'm not a baby because I have challenges around my anniversary, and it doesn't help to tell me to chill out. So if you found anything in this information helpful, I hope that you will share it with other people. I hope that you'll comment on the Facebook post because it helps other people to have access to it and to be able to see it. And I want to just make a quick announcement that this week I was invited by the American Cancer Society of Green Bay to have a booth at the Making Strides Against Breast Cancer event that they're having at Lambeau Field on the 21st of October. I'll post a flyer and some more information. Hi, Alicia. Thanks for coming today. I'll post some more information about that event. I'm really excited to be, to be asked by the American Cancer Society to have an event or to participate in their event. And it really is to help collect cancer survivors' stories. So that'll be fun. That event is going on at Lambeau Field in the Johnsonville Tailgate Village. Starts at 9:30 and the walk starts at 11. So I'm excited about that. I also want to remind you that the next session of Treatments Over What Now is going to be starting on November 1st. And if you want more information about that, you can check it out on my website. There's information on there about that. And I'll be posting information on my Facebook page about that too. So if you have any questions, if you have topics that you'd like to have shared at a next episode, please feel free to comment in the comments below, and let me know if this helped you, if there's other information that you'd like. And I am really grateful for those of you who tuned in today, and for those of you who watched, who will watch later on in the day. And if you have an anniversary coming up, be gentle with yourself, be kind with yourself, and I hope that you make it a great week. Thanks for being here, and take care of yourself.